Hello, I think I'm a little early, but I'm going to go ahead and say hello. Hi, everybody. Ginger Gaines Sorelli here. Normally, I would be greeting you from the Purple Parlor, my home in DC. Today, I am greeting you from Bethany Beach in Delaware, where I have been since Monday afternoon on retreat with our directors and executive directors for ministries at Foundry United Methodist Church on some planning retreat, kind of a review and visioning time for us as a team. And it may sound sort of strange to do that right after Easter, but there's something kind of lovely about being able to land in a place where we can kind of take a breath and be away from our normal spaces, and we make sure we have some time to sleep and to play. There's always a lot of laughter. So it's been a good place to land, and we are finishing up our substantive work for this time apart in just a little while, and are so grateful for the prayers and support of our community and for what we've just come through. So again, I welcome you. I'm so glad that you're joining me today, and I'm holding this on my phone. I think the connectivity is okay, so I hope it'll work. And so glad that you're joining me. Do say hello if you can. Let me know that you're tuning in. Let others know who our community is as we gather today. I have to say, first of all, you know, we just came through a really full in-person hybrid Holy Week for the first time since 2019, and that was a great blessing. I have to say, I want to say again publicly how grateful I am for every single person who helped contribute to that in any way to help make that happen. What a beautiful gift. And I'm also today, one of the things that's popped up in the last couple of days on my Facebook, this is really one of the things that's very front of mind right now, is I had memories pop up because a year ago today, I was in Minneapolis, St. Paul, as part of a Rainbow Push Coalition delegation who had gone and was present for the Derek Chauvin trial related to the murder of George Floyd. And so those memories have been popping up, and reviewing and thinking about what was going on just last year has been really heavy on my mind and heart today. And I have to say too, I got up kind of early this morning. We had some time before breakfast, and I was kind of catching up on some things going on in the world. I probably should have given myself a break and just gone for my walk on the beach earlier. But I looked at a little bit of news, and one of the things that I saw today was at least 3 police officers, white police officers in Syracuse, handcuffing a black child who looks like they had pulled off of his bike, and there were other black children sort of lurking about, and there was what sounded like a grown man who was asking the police, what are you doing, and was videoing this thing. And evidently the issue was that the child or somebody in the group with the child had stolen a bag of chips. Now, I don't know the whole story. You know, it's one of those things, but I mean, it was a video. I saw what was happening with the police officers and this child, and the child was screaming, and they were putting this child into the back of a police car. And I'm not talking about a teenager. I'm talking about a child. And with the heaviness and the weight on my own heart and mind, just thinking about, you know, the things I was saying last year, like, maybe this time we'll learn something. Maybe people will see that we can manage these things differently, and how important it is for us to address some of the dynamics among among some in the police force. Of course, we know there are wonderful, good people. I know very thoughtful, careful people who are police officers. So it's not just about every police officer, but it is not, there is something in the culture of certain places that makes these things happen. It makes it okay somehow. And if they don't get caught on video, then nobody knows, and it just happens, just keeps happening. And of course, more and more people are catching them on video, but not all of them get lifted to the level of national prominence as the George Floyd, but somehow that did. And you know, I was so hopeful that maybe some things would shift. It's been difficult to see any consistent adjustment. I know there are people working so hard to try to adjust some of these things. But today, I have to say, coming out of Holy Week, having preached on Friday about who is on the cross with Jesus, who continues to be oppressed and harmed, and unjustly accused and treated in ways that don't recognize their human dignity. And then to see this video this morning, and others, of course. I mean, this is just a one little thing that I thought, this is what a juxtaposition, you know. And so I'm holding all of that in my head and heart, even as I'm here in a beautiful place, doing good work, and both celebrating how God has brought us through as Foundry Church, all that God has been doing, the challenges that we have been managing and have been able to address in creative ways through amazing lay leadership and generosity and support, and just the way all of us together have been able to do this. I mean, in the midst of all of that celebrating and rejoicing, and then thinking about what we're going to work on moving forward, it's hard to know, and just to sort of, again, just hold this continued injustice, and to know that these things are happening all the time, whether they're caught and projected in ways that we can see or not. Abuse of power and racially motivated abuse of power, often. And so I guess for me, the good word, the hopeful word, is that in the midst of all of this, one of the things that did happen is, you know, even if we're having arguments about it, you know, which we are as a nation, as communities, as people, we're having arguments. People are getting upset. There's a lot of brokenness in relationships around critical race theory and the teaching of critical race theory, and the focus on Black Lives Matter, and on the ongoing long-term work of racial equity and justice. And, you know, some people are, you know, there's just, the thing is that everything that's happened in the last year, George Floyd, one of the things that happened in the midst of the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, and, you know, what happened was that finally it felt like it was a conversation in a different way. And then, you know, the 1619 Project coming along in the midst of all that, the conversation is happening. The conversation is happening in a different way. And of course there's backlash, and of course there are people who are railing against it. But I'm grateful that the conversation is happening. The work clearly is far from done. And I'm grateful because one of the things, you know, I was quoting Reverend Jackson, who I was with, of course, as part of Rainbow Push last year. And one of the things that he always talks about at Easter is the Easter spirit, you know, so you can kill the man, but the spirit, that person's spirit lives, and it's, you know, and inspires continued response. And so we know that George Floyd didn't mean to be a martyr, and yet continues, along with so many other names, continues to be lifted as a call for us to do better. So I'm grateful for the resurrection spirit of the voices whose blood cries out from the ground and says, we can do this better. Rise up, people, rise up. That makes me think about the Michigan senator. Some of you will have seen Mallory. I'm sorry, I just saw this too because I've been working since Easter. But I saw the speech that's just kind of caught fire, at least on Twitter. I think it'll probably be showing up everywhere in news cycles and whatnot. Michigan senator, a woman who had really been attacked by a colleague, and she just stood up and kind of laid out a response that was really powerful. And it's this sense of like, nothing will change if those of us who have something to say just stay silent. We have to stand up. If we just stand by, nothing will change. And so I know that more and more and more of us will respond to these voices that cry out and say, let's make it better. Let's continue the hard, long-term work of building truly beloved community and peace with justice and ways of creating safe communities that truly honor and are in relationship with the people in those communities so that everyone feels supported and safe as opposed to targeted and fearful. And that children, sometimes children get into stuff. And what if that was met with somebody who understood they just might need a conversation, or to come back and have a different kind of accountability? What I saw on the screen today was outrageous and heartbreaking and infuriating. And again, as I've said a number of times recently, the way that those particular siblings who were wearing police uniforms were acting, I believe, was beneath any of our human dignity to treat a child in that way. It was unnecessary. There were 3 or 4 of them, and a young little black boy. So these are the kinds of things that we will continue. I trust, I know, because I know some y'all, and I know we're going to keep at it. We're just going to keep at it by God's grace and through God's mercy and love. Even when sometimes it feels like it's not getting better, we are in fact an Easter people, and we claim that in the end, love and mercy and justice are the strongest power in the universe. And so we're just going to keep living like that. There was a quote that I had thought about using. It didn't make its way into the final on Sunday. But it was John Lewis who talked about, he asked the what if question. And he said, what if beloved community really is already the reality? This was John speaking. I think he said, and I'm paraphrasing, and I just need to keep living that way until other people see and join me. It's like if we live as if beloved community is the reality now, if more and more and more and more of us do that, that's what we can do. That's what we have control over, and we can continue to use our voices and to use our resources when we know something is not right, like this really powerful Michigan senator did. She was talk about on fire, and so I give thanks to God for all of those who are continuing to do what we can and to speak up when we can and to contribute what we can to the building of beloved community as people who believe in the power of love and mercy and compassion and new life. I hope that you all are experiencing sunshine. I'm so blessed to be standing in the sun today. And thank you for joining me. I want to remind you that this Sunday at Foundry, 2 big things happening. First of all, it's our Great Day of Service, which is this is our annual spring Great Day of Service. And we'll be packing meals for Rise Against Hunger. You want to put on a red hairnet if you're in DC on Sunday. It's like all the cool kids are doing it. Anyway, and you also want to like help us feed hungry people around the world. This is one of the things that we do that makes a huge impact. It's with other folks in a safe environment. You sign up for a chunk of time. You can register online, and Brian will give us the links for that. Please register. You know, the more people we've got, we knock it out, we get it done, and we know that a lot of hungry folk will be fed. And also on Sunday, I'm super excited that we'll be welcoming back the Reverend James Harnish, or Jim Harnish, friend and colleague, just a wonderful writer, author, pastor, teacher, preacher, and the co-author of A Disciple's Path and A Disciple's Heart, which are some key resources for us at Foundry. And Reverend Harnish is going to be preaching at both services on Sunday, and so I'm so looking forward to that. And we've got baptisms at 11:15 again. I wasn't lying when I told you we were going to have a lot of baptisms coming up. So anyway, it's a big Sunday. I hope to see you there, either in person or online. You can support Great Day of Service if you'd like to make a contribution and you're not in the city this weekend. I think it's $29. It's 100 meals. Easy to do. And you can do that online as well. So again, thank you so much for being with me for a little while today. Let's keep fighting the good fight. And loving, and doing what we can as the people of New Life, Easter people. What a gift. Let's pray. Loving God, for the beauty of this day, for the promise of your presence and new life power through Jesus, for the capacity and grace to keep moving and to doing what we can. We give you thanks for helping us. And I pray for everyone who is not feeling Easter, not feeling strong, not feeling able right now. I pray that you would simply hold them and bring them through. For those who are the targets of injustice and violence, guard them and guide them. And help us, God, please do help us to stay steady and to do what we can for your sake, for the sake of the kingdom. In Jesus' name I pray. All right, my dear ones, may the peace of God be with you. And may you know in the very core of your being the liberating power of God's love. I'll see you next time.